Lajivalmentaja Aku Moilanen, normaali kilpailumies, 20 kilometriä juuri alkamassa, mitkä ovat sinivalkoisen joukkueen viimeiset tuntemukset? Hyvät fiilikset, kaikki jatkuu hyvällä päällä taas startissa. Pikkusen harmittaa Otto. Pieniä semmoisia hengitysoireita tuntenut tässä viime päivinä, niin palataan tehdään tänään aamusta. Hyvältä näyttää, kuva on täys. Kiitos kaikille, ketkä on tullut paikalle.
Alussa joo. 324.
Moi!
Joo, numero.
Kiitos. Kuva huomeen.
Viisi, kuusi, kuusi.
Thank you very much.
7, 5, 6.
756.
Bonne chance.
Merci.
3775.
3, 1, 2.
312. Thank you.
Kiitos.
Mitkä? Yksi, 7, 7.
177.
Kiitos näin. Ja sitten uudestaan liput liehuun. Ai. Hyvältä näyttää.
Welcome to Kontiolahti for the final men's individual of the season. And what a race we have in store with a four-way battle for the individual globe. 4 laps, 5 laps even, of 4 kilometres, 1 penalty minute added for every missed shot as the athletes alternate today between the prone and standing visits to a range. Here is a look at what is an incredibly physically demanding course, but with plenty of nostalgia around this classic venue. What a venue it is. Above freezing today, a warm 3 degrees, although we will be dropping quite considerably back under freezing tonight. So here is the lay of the land in the battle for the individual globe. World Cup leader Eric Perrault has a 2-point lead over the Olympic champion Johan Olav Botten, with Emilian Jacquelin just 16 points behind his teammate Perrault. And Martin Uldal, he's off the pace, but would be able to capitalise on any slip-ups from those ahead of him should the situation arrive. Now Perrault, Uldal and Botten all looking for their first discipline globes of their World Cup careers. Scott Dixon, former British biathlete and coach, I hope you have your calculator with you today.
I absolutely do, and it's going to be a dramatic one. Like you say, a 4-way race for the top, but if you want to get even more crazy than that, which I love to do, there is always the chance that Sturla Holmla Gride has the possibility of climbing right up there to claim the Crystal Globe. Now, an unlikely outcome, I'm not going to be putting any bets on that, but it is a possibility, although I think Botten and Perrault are really going to take this one all the way to the very end.
Well, we saw it yesterday, didn't we? A brilliant women's race that in the end came down in terms of the discipline globe to just 2 points. We do have the permutations. We won't run you through all of them as things stand, of course, with the possibility that it could go so many ways. But Scott, this is a discipline that, as we saw, particularly on the women's side at the Olympic Games, and over the many years, of course, in the World Cup, it's a discipline that throws up surprises. And with the globe, of course, there only being 2 races before today, it could swing anyway.
Absolutely, and this is why this event is so popular, and it's been around for such a long time. It stood the test of time because it really is a psychological race as well as the physical. They have to contend with every single shot being of such high consequence, and that makes it so much harder to focus on the process. And it is always exciting to see what they're capable of doing when the pressure mounts towards the end of the race, and they will be intuitively aware of how they stand against one another, if not just in this race alone, but also across the Crystal Globe fight.
98 on the start list, as you can see there, and the grandstand packed once again, full of Finnish flags. And well, someone who could play quite a big role today, going bib number 12, Ollie Heiden-Salo. Scott, we spoke yesterday about how painful 4th place finishes can be, and there's a man who's got used to a couple in the last couple of years.
Absolutely, and he's only starting 4 positions ahead of Horn equally after his 4th place in the mass start at the Olympic Winter Games. So both of them are 2 outsider prospects that we like the look of. And I think Heiden-Salo, again, in front of his home crowd, that would make it extra special.
Well, you've just come off the back of a couple of other races today in the World Youth and Junior Championships, and Finland did have an athlete on the podium in the men's race in Tuomas Latvalahti in the mass start 60. This is a venue that is carrying the good vibes of the Finnish team at the moment.
Absolutely, and Finland, along with 13 other nations, getting onto the medal tally, which is so healthy for the sport of biathlon. There is such a depth of performance ability. We've got Latvia with multiple medals at the top of the table, Slovakia doing fantastic, Norway, France, of course we love it when they do well, but how great it is to see so many youngsters come from loads of different nations to claim medals at the Youth Junior World Championship.
Well, it is so exciting, and plenty of prospects competing in those championships who we're used to seeing on the World Cup. And remember, you can find, of course, all the highlights across the IBU World Biathlon YouTube and here on Eurovision Sport as well. A warmer day today. Scott, just how will that impact the conditions out there?
Well, the track, as you can see, very shiny, and that means the moisture at the top of the track can get quite condensed. It becomes very icy underfoot, very slippery, challenging, but also as the temperature drops, it can get faster. That said, it can also, when it rises above 0 degrees, it can break up. And when it breaks up, that means it can get slower, almost like pushing through sand. It does not look like the conditions are going that way, more icy.
So here we go, a close-fought battle for the discipline globe awaits. The final men's individual competition of the season gets underway here in Kontiolahti, and kicking us off, Nikola Romanin. Just his 9th World Cup start, but what a story he has, Scott. 32 years old, made his Olympic debut last month on home snow, 11 years after his first and only global competition before that, which was the Junior World Championships. It just shows that not everything in the sport is linear.
And him and Claude with Campbell Wright, and that sprint finish at the end of the mass start. What a moment.
Second in that race between him, of course, Claude and Campbell Wright, going down as one of the more iconic moments away from the podium of the Olympic Games in Antholz last month. The big smile on the face of Maxime Germain, the 24-year-old, racing off the back of his Olympic debut as well, has a personal best of 11th from earlier on at the start of this season in Östersund in the sprint, and a bright future ahead of him as well. Here's Anton Sinapov of Bulgaria.
Well, Bulgaria just claiming a gold medal at the Youth Junior World Championship. Zhorgov on that occasion, despite a fall on lap 1, an incredible comeback.
And of course that brilliant bronze claimed by Laura Hristova in this discipline on the women's side at the Winter Olympic Games. And, well, we say it quite a lot, when teams are having that success, it often translates across the board. Final warm-ups and preparations as Jakub Borgula of Slovakia takes to the tracks. Across the board improvements in his second World Cup season. Also made an Olympic debut last month and has had a really incredible 12 months, it's fair to say. His first World Championships, first Olympic Games, and World Junior silver medalist this time last year in the sprint, where he finished 9th in the individual competition. Could be one to watch today. Here's the bib, number 10 of Mikuláš Kálík of Czechia, two-time Olympian now. Fabian Mühlauer takes to the tracks.
Another nation to have come away from the Junior Worlds today with a gold medal and a bronze. Not to keep bringing it back to those exciting races, I am just buzzing from them, but it's so great to see the medals come from some of the less well-seen nations. Of course, Austria up there with the best.
Well, speaking of lesser seen nations, one that you used to represent, Scott, Great Britain, and Jack Jeffries always has a big smile on his face. It's been great to follow his journey, in particular after his Olympic debut last month in Antolz. He's been documenting it all on social media. Previously, part of the French youth setup, where he was junior world champion himself as part of the French junior relay team. Lucas Flatscher of Germany, 23rd in this discipline at the Winter Games.
Lots of German fans out there today. The Germans will travel far and wide, all around the world, an opportunity to support their skiers. And today for Germany, I think there's a chance of a podium. Again, I feel like that's an outsider claim, but I think that there is a couple in with a possibility.
Well, could there be a podium for Switzerland? He hasn't hit the highs that we know he can achieve, Nicholas Hartwig, in the last 2 seasons, but this is his strongest event. Silver medalist here in the full-length individual in the 22-23 season. As we head back out onto the course, and Nicola Romanen. Well, Scott, we will predominantly be stuck in the range watching this big flow of athletes come through as, of course, 4 shooting stages alternating between prone and standing. But this is an incredibly challenging and testing course, 5 times up the wall, and there really is little opportunity to rest.
Oh, and there's, on the recovery moment, it's so fast, and then it's followed by a very hard left-hander. So you don't see it here on the screen, but just off to the right-hand side of where you see now is Germain now getting the lead by 9.1 seconds. That's significant, and Germain, of course, is super fast, but he'll have just come down that rapid-fire decline. And yes, as you say, heavy on the legs no matter where you are on this track.
Well, there is Philip Horn, the 31-year-old, 4th agonisingly in the mass start at the Olympic Games. He was 3rd in the sprint in Hochfilzen earlier on this season, his first podium on the World Cup. Shmaev now of Romania. He set a new personal best just before the Olympic Games in the short individual, finishing 18th. The sun is well and truly set here in Kontiolahti. All the lights provided by the floodlights, and here's a man who's hoping to be a light for his nation on home snow, Olli Hiddensalo. What last 12 months he's had, a big smile on his face, and you know he'll enjoy every moment. 4th in the individual in Antholz at the Winter Games last month. 4th in the individual at the World Championships a year prior, just after the birth of his child, and he's really enjoying life out on the skis. You can tell that, Scott.
And you can hear the crowd absolutely roaring there. You can feel the energy, and he certainly will have done. Just get that little bit of a boost, an external stimulus that just gives you a slight bit more energy and attack.
Konrad Badac of Poland. This is his best season of his career so far, and this was his strongest event last season at the World Championships, a previous, not to take it back again, Scott, but previous top 10 finisher at the World Junior Championships in this event as well, still only 23 years old. Renars Birkentals will be next to leave the gate on a charge this season. It's fair to say that secured his first top 10 finish in the short individual in Novo Mesto before the Winter Games.
Latvia is really one of the nations, and I have no shame taking this back, because Latvia are currently 3 golds at the top of the medal table at the Youth Junior Champs.
Well, they are a nation, and Renars Birkentals in particular, that seem to have the wind in their sails when it comes to racing at the moment. Tratcher through the 2.3 kilometre mark, 0.4 of a second behind Maxime Germain, who's still the early pace setter going in bib number 2. Here is Nicholas Hartvig though. There's 9 seconds to get to that upright time check.
It's going to be close.
And just 1/10 of a second in it between him and Maxime Germain. Certainly one to watch. Nicholas Hartvig comes out with a point to prove. And making his way up this incredibly steep climb the wall, Maxime Germain with a 16.7 second lead now over Nicola Romanin of Italy.
Now this is the top of the wall. They take a swooping right hand, and then it becomes flat and somewhat undulating all the way in towards the shooting range, where there is no recovery. It's brutal all the way along that stretch, and they have to maintain pace whilst also having enough rest that when they get into the shooting range, they can shoot in control.
Pavel Magaziv, two-time Olympian himself. This is also his best event, so there's 2 top 20 finishes. They came 2 seasons ago, both of them in Oslo and in Östersund. Vitalta Strolia picking up his skis as we see Oscar Lombardo, 4th in the short individual in Novo Mesto, and this is his first race since that last stage of the World Cup before the Olympic Games. Well, Scott, my eyes are initially drawn to the right-hand side of the screen and just how blustery it's become.
Yeah, those wind conditions, 14 kilometers an hour, increasing to 15, dropping to 10. It's fluctuating, and that's worse. If it was just 15, that would be fine, but the fact that it comes up and down means that it moves clicks within a matter of seconds. Romanin needs to be attentive to those changing conditions.
Closing the gap on him is Maxime Germain. Of course, all the athletes starting 30 seconds apart. Good so far for Romanin. 5 for 5, just adjusts his sights slightly as he leaves the range. First miss of the day goes the way of Maxime Germain, and
nice.
A minute added to his time.
Yeah, so just adjusting the sight after he's done the shooting implies that he wants to keep it the same as when he zeroed, because he's locked that picture into his mind of what the flags looked like on a zero wind, as in the wind when he zeroed. So then when he comes in the next time, he can draw that comparison without doing the mental maths of what he changed coming to shoot 1.
Tony Vidmar in that eye-catching Slovenian kit, racing this final trimester off the back of his Olympic debut. Well, the calm before the storm, incredibly silent as the athletes, those later bigs, just prepare for their start time. Fabian Mulauer coming in, 15.9 seconds ahead of Romanin.
Well, the wind flags look ever so slightly calmer towards the center of the range. And I don't know if that's just a freak moment of chance where we'll see it change, but Mulauer deciding to shoot in lane 12. Only 4 kilometers an hour of wind at this moment, and this point in the range. Excellent shooting, great control capitalizing on that dip in wind.
And we will have a new leader with 5 bibs through. Fabian Mühlauer of Austria takes the lead. An advantage of 15.4 seconds ahead of Romanen, bib number 1. There's Jeffries. And our eyes will be with Lucas Fletcher. Just 0.4 of a second his advantage over Mühlauer.
The athletes not only have to contend with the changing wind, but the changing light during the zero. It's bright, and then it falls to darkness by the time they come into shoot in the race. Oh, low right miss, painful.
It does equate to a minute added on to his time. It's clean shooting in his first visit for Jeffries of Great Britain. Finds himself 20 seconds down in third. Here's Nicholas Hartvig, trailing by 2.3 seconds coming in after a fast start to this race. It's his first miss of the day.
He typically shoots in around 24.5 seconds in total. That a little bit slower, 27.8. With one mistake, a painful mistake early on, but also an opportunity. These athletes will receive feedback on where the fall of the shots were by the coaches around the track, and therefore they can adapt.
Well, here is Mikolas Karlik, who's come in 7.2 seconds in the lead. He's really seen a big upturn in his skiing performance this season, and also brought his standing shooting back up to where it would need to be competitive in these races. Starts with a hit. Covers himself well, just one miss.
Yeah, the fastest by 4.1 seconds coming into the range. Perhaps, in terms of pacing, he could benefit from a little bit slower to pace.
And here is Olli Hiidensalo coming into shooting 1. Trailing at the last time check by 8.5 seconds.
A good opportunity to see how much work the athletes have to do in the final stages before the range. There's a bump, there's a slight decline, but all of it is hard work, and you can see that 50-meter gap there between the shooting mat and the targets.
It does give some brilliant perspective.
2 clicks left, or anti-clockwise, therefore moving the sight to the right for Hiidensalo of Finland.
And the adjustments paying off so far.
Excellent, central, fantastic adjustments.
It's exactly what Erik Tonner Skolstad, coach, likes to see, and of course the fans as well. So Olli Hiidensalo won't take the lead, but he will drop into second, just 3.1 seconds behind the time of Mühlauer. But he did have, of course, that 8-second disadvantage, 9 seconds almost when coming in. So cutting it on the shooting time.
Jeffries of Great Britain in 5th place, not having missed a single target, 20 seconds back after shoot 1.
Here comes Victor Blunt, 10.9 seconds, his advantage as he comes into shooting 1. And he has one top 10 finish on the World Cup.
Oh, just on the right-hand side of the target, the wind down at 5 kilometers an hour, but all bunched low right. So now, very much on the edge. The coach is going to have that on a magnet board. Then a photo will be sent out to the staff around the track. They will then replicate the image that Victor Brandt there with his now leading time of 18.5 seconds where he shot and where those rounds fell so that he can make a decision whether he adjusts his sight according to those clicks.
He has the lead. How long will he hold it for? Because here's Philipp Horn of Germany. Had a good margin coming in. Needs to hit 5 and does hit 5. And we will have a new leader.
Yeah, Horn, one of the athletes who I think can do very well today.
Just outside, 1.8 seconds. Of course, coming from a little bit further back on the mats. So just tucked in behind Victor Brandt.
33 seconds to shoot. He's the slowest of the 16 athletes to shoot so far.
In comes Oscar Lombardo.
It's very possible to start with misses in an individual and come back from that, as we saw with Emilian Claude and Novo Mesto, missing 2 and then clearing all the remaining 15 targets. I love the way that Lombardo locks his right shoulder into the butt of the rifle. Low position.
The roar as Quentin Fiormaillet starts, and it's 5 out of 5, a perfect start for Oscar Lombardo, and that's exactly what the French coaches will be wanting to see after challenging performances in the range for the women yesterday. They set the standard so exceptionally high, and it's third for Oscar Lombardo, 15 seconds exactly behind Victor Brandt. Mikhail Kruchmar now of Czechia coming in just inside 5 seconds behind the time of Brandt.
.1 seconds to get to the first shot. It's below average. And then to miss, an extra minute immediately added on. 29.4. It's a good stable shoot time.
Something that Martin Oldal will be looking to avoid if he's to keep his hopes alive in the battle for the discipline globe. He's off the pace, but still very much in the battle. Here's bib number 1, Nicola Romanen of Italy in the range. Going well so far. Perfect from his first visit. Can he make it 10 out of 10? He does. The Italians away.
What a start. Lovely consistency and 22.6 seconds to do it. Well, if that was at the Olympic Games, that kind of shooting speed would see him up in the top 15 fastest shooters in stand.
And so the lead with Nicola Romanen as we go back to shooting 1, Vitalta Strolia of Lithuania. A reminder, of course, the Italian team without Tommaso Giacomel, and we wish our best to Tommaso as he begins his recovery from minor heart surgery. Here's Emilian Jacquelin. Well, the great entertainer, isn't he, Scott? And continue to do that on the at the Olympic Games on the biggest stage of them all. Emilian Claude now in for shooting 1.
Fabian Claude, his brother, with the fastest time to the 2.3 kilometer mark by 5.5 seconds. 2 misses for Claude now. 3 now. He's not going to be able to come back from that like he did in Novo Mesto. Where did those shots fall?
You can see inquisitive looks as well as the disappointment on the face of the 2 French coaches who will be retiring at the end of the season, stepping away from the sport as Jesper Nylén comes in 5.8 seconds down. A good start though. And the leader will flash past.
Takes an extra 2 breaths before the 4th shot, just regaining his composure and a very good investment of time. All 5 targets go down now for Jesper Nylén.
Well, you put it so perfectly. It is an investment of time. Those 2 breaths, those extra seconds, as long as you make them count and get all the targets down, they are incredibly valuable because it means avoiding exactly what Fabian Mulau has just done in adding an extra minute to your time.
Well, it takes 2 seconds or 2 to 3 seconds between shots, And to think that you could add a whole minute onto your time just by virtue of not taking an extra half a second.
You can see the impact that has had on Fabian Mulauer's race as he comes out of shooting 2 into shooting 1. David Sobor, 13.2 seconds down. Bib number 26. His only World Cup podium was here in an individual back in the 22-23 season when he finished 3rd. He'll be pressed to do that today with 1 miss from his first visit. Here's Jack Jeffries, perfect through his first shoot. 30 seconds down on the time of Romanen. Nicholas Hartberg pulling up alongside him. Good start for the Brit.
Lovely rhythm now between shots for Jeffries. 2.5, 2.9, 2.7, 2.9 once again, 10 out of 10. Jack Jeffries with a fantastic start to his race.
Excellent shooting. An excellent rifle art, I should say, as well. Always great to see how the athletes express their own personalities on their rifles, and this will serve Jeffries well. Off the back of his Olympic debut, he's across the line in 3rd, coming out of shooting 2, 35.4 seconds down on the time of fast skiing and quick shooting Romanen.
And he looks so calm as well.
And focus stays on shooting 2, and Mikulas Karlik, 1 miss from his first visit, the Czech athlete. 27 though, 0.1 seconds down, so he's closed the gap out on the skis, but will have to do that work once again. Starts with a miss, quick to the 3rd though. 2 misses, and that's his race. Well and truly done in terms of competing for a top 10 finish.
Well, Lucas Hofer is going incredibly fast out on the tracks, just second to the 2.3 behind Fabien Claude and in ahead of Jacquelin. And Hofer, one of those in a slightly dubious contention for the Crystal Globe in the individual.
Yep, secured a bronze medal and important points in this discipline, or the short individual in Novo Mesto before the Olympic Games. Here's Telo Seppälä, one of the home favourites. Excellent start, quick shooting, accurate as well, 4 for 4. Can he make it 5? And he does. Great start, shooting 1, done and dusted, and the coach and the fans are very happy with that.
Oh, lovely shooting. He's just come off the back of the Stockholm Ski Challenge, and that's where he just really put on display his unbelievable shooting ability. But 3rd place, 13 seconds down. He's got some work to do to come back on the skis.
Fabien Claude coming in for his first visit to the range. 12 seconds, his lead. Can he match Victor Brandt in the range? It's a good start so far. Heiden Salo in for his 2nd shoot. 5 out of
lovely.
5.
Clinical shooting from Claude.
Same can't be said for Heiden Salo. Starts with a miss. A good 4 down after that, but Fabien Claude takes the lead. 7.6 seconds. His advantage over Victor Brandt as things starting to hot up in the early stages of this final 20k individual race of the World Cup season. The final trimester starting here in Kontiolahti. Heiden Salo into 5th owing to that miss. He's 56.2 seconds down, but will be roared all the way around the course by the home fans. Well, we mentioned him just a few seconds ago, was tearing it up out on the course. Comes in though 1.5 seconds down, Lucas Hofer, but in a favourable position before the first shoot.
He's giving off good vibes today, Lucas Hofer. Perhaps not with the Olympics he'd hoped for, but it could be a good redemption World Cup for the Italian.
Miss for Victor Brandt, how costly will that be? Lucas Hofer is away, perfect shooting, breaks the position ever so quickly.
Oh, the way he throws his rifle on will never get old. Absolutely fantastic. Smooth drills from the gods, and that's him in 2nd place, 3.4 seconds down.
And we're back to shooting 2 now. Philip Horn is flying. 44.1 seconds his advantage.
Excellent.
And that may just grow here. 5 out of 5, quick shooting as well for the German.
Horn skiing well. He's got the 4th fastest time on lap 1. Currently 2nd for lap 2, but hard to measure because so few have come through. But he's skiing around the time of Quentin Fillon-Maillet.
And here is Kontiolahti himself, now the most decorated French athlete in Olympic history. Comes in with a 4.7 second disadvantage over his teammate, or under his teammate, Fabien Claude. There's a miss as well. You can see the wind picking up to 11 kilometers an hour now. Has to settle his mind.
Unlucky, lucky with that last shot, to say the very least. It was a bit of a scrappy shoot, and he can be thankful to only have one mistake there, but he's going to have to take that information he gets from the coaches to recuperate from that early scrappy shoot.
Martin Ellard coming up for shooting one. What can he do here? Bordeaux with his first miss of the day.
The fact that Ellard is in with a chance of the Crystal Globe will not be playing in his mind whatsoever. Very low chance at that. Just focusing on the breathing, the trigger pressure. 5 out of 5.
Calm, considered shooting. By no means the pace that we so regularly associate with Ellard when it comes to standing shooting, but considered. And he's into fifth, 13.5 seconds down. Here is Emilien Jacquelin now.
Really taking his time to nest into the position and get all the pressures right with the hand stop, the elbow. And starting good, but a big miss up to the top left. And then a clip at the top. Lucky with the fifth.
What he would have wanted. Bronze medalist in the pursuits at the Olympic Games. Did take silver in the short individual just before those games in Nove Mesto.
Romanen digging his left elbow right in underneath the rifle before adjusting 2 anti-clockwise. That's to the right. As Botten gets underway. His Crystal Globe battle now in motion.
And of course we will keep you across that as well as we can with so many in contention, but the reality likely to be a two-way, maybe if it swings as much as four-way battle for the individual globe.
Now I love the discipline there from Romanen to stop midway through the shoot to make further adjustments to the sights. It really does take a lot of wherewithal to manage that.
Well, the man who's the fastest on the World Cup this season has come in 9.4 seconds down, has to readjust as well, missing the second. Champion in the mass start, and well, here is the man in the split yellow and red bib, Eric Perrault, who leads by just 2 points in the battle for the individual globe, the first that is up for grabs this season. Navrat now, bib 44, dropping down as he comes in for his first shoot. Jesper Nylén is in the breakout picture. So far, Nylén today.
In with a miss. Navrat, one of the more controlled and measured shooters, has come in with the third fastest ski time. And those big breaths between each shot has seen him get all 5 down in a nice controlled 33.1 seconds. It's slow, but it's precise.
He will be just inside the top 3. Third goes Philipp Navrat, 6.4 seconds behind the time of Fabien Claude. Lucas Hoffert just ahead of him.
Victor Brandt going well to retain his 4th at the shooting 1.
Here is Campbell right now. Just making his way into the range. See how much movement is going through those red wind flags. almost 20 seconds coming in, Campbell Wright.
Well, definitely down on form in terms of the ski speed, but Germain in 19th, also down on form. So a bad start for Campbell Wright. Perhaps his prospects of being in the top 15 at the end of today's race are somewhat shot.
Yep, goes from bad to worse. 3 misses on his first visit to the range. Well, here comes Martin Ponsaloma. What a story this was, Scott, at the Olympic Games. Olympic champion in the pursuit, just his 3rd career win at World Championships, World Cup or an Olympic Games, and his 2nd Olympic medal. He knows when to turn it on.
Well, it's unbelievable how he manages to get these top results at those big event moments, but he's got a mind for it. Somehow he's able to hone his focus, but with that miss now to the low left, that is foreshadowing a group that is down low right. He'll definitely be adjusting the sight up and left next time he comes in.
So down in 26th, Martin Ponsaloma.
Well, I have to update you that the leader at the end of chute number 3 goes to Jeffries so far of Great Britain. That is phenomenal.
He's the first clean athlete through shooting 3, Jack Jeffries of Great Britain, and has a 11.5 second lead over Nicola Romanin. How long can he keep it going for? Excellent display so far from the Brit. Here's Sturla Holmlegard. What an Olympic Games he had. Taylor Seppala has a miss next to his name. Where will Legride, the reigning total score champion, start his race? 3 seconds down. Good start though in the range.
Well, his form is in the right place for another. There, 5 out of 5. Absolutely awesome shooting from Sturla Holmlegard. He has just found his form, having not had a podium into the games. He's now in 2nd, but it's all come together.
0.8 of a second behind Fabien Claude. Medals in every Olympic Games race he entered this year. 3rd in the individual, 3rd in the sprint, 2nd in the pursuit, 2nd in the mass start. Here's Ollie Heiden-Salo looking to push Jeffries off the top of the table in shooting 3. He has a miss himself, but comes in 3.4 seconds in the lead. Second miss of the day for Heiden-Salo. Sebastian Samuelsson now dropping down into the prone position. Starts with a miss though, already trailing by almost 10 seconds as he came into the range for the first time.
Well, on the 0, he was adjusting his rear diopter to allow in more light. Having an adjustable diopter means that they can close it, open it in accordance with how much light response they're getting from the target or the surrounding area. The brighter, the narrower the rear diopter should be. Lucas Hofer, again, giving off those good vibes.
Half a second down coming in. He's quick on the trigger, accurate as well. 10 out of 10 for Lucas Hofer.
Wow.
What a day this could be.
He just disappears off the mat. It was like he never stopped. So dynamic when he's in good form, and you can see that he absolutely is in good form.
3.5 seconds down. He's into 2nd now. Lucas Hofer, who took a bronze in Nove Mesto just before we broke up on the World Cup for the Olympic Games. Here's Philip Horn further down the road. This is shooting 3, where he finds himself with a lead of 56 seconds. You can see Jeffries pushed down to 3rd now. First miss of the day though for Philip Horn.
Oh, big miss. Yeah, really throwing the opportunity there out the window, and what a shame for Horn.
Finds himself down in 5th now.
Now it looks like the Norwegians with Botten, Legride, Christensen, Dale Skjevdal, all 7th to 10th at the 3.4 kilometer mark, having similar times off the lead, suggesting they're pacing themselves very controlled on lap 1.
Well, we saw this, didn't we? I think it was Nove Mesto, maybe even the World Cup stage before. This false sense of security that the Norwegians were lulling everyone else into, and maybe that's the case again today. Christiansen, excellent through his first 4 and now 5, trailing by 5.8 seconds coming in, so it won't be the lead, but he's perfect through the first shoot. Fourth for Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen, 4.4 seconds fittingly behind the time of the leader. Here's Martin Årdal, just 0.3 behind the time of Horn when he came in, but has to just resettle himself.
That left elbow just not getting the traction he was looking for. It is a big delay to get the second shot down, but total discipline. Ah!
Till the last, 9 out of 10 from his first 10 targets. Here's Johan Olav Botten, the Olympic champion in this discipline.
2 clicks right before he fires the first shot. The wind flags are fluttering ever so gently, but enough that he makes a fine adjustment. There is the first miss.
How costly will that be in the battle for the discipline globe? He's just 2 points behind Eric Perrault, who we are yet to see in the range. Limits it to just 1.
Well, he adjusted back. He had the control and, again, wherewithal to think about the changing conditions during the shoot, not getting carried away with just firing. The consequences of each shot missed is too high.
And here is Eric Perrault, finished behind Johan Olav Botten in this discipline at the Olympic Games. He is the reigning world champion, of course, in the individual event, and wears that split yellow and red bib. Trails by 3.9 seconds to his compatriot Fabien Claude coming into the range.
Wow. Oh, rapid, accurate.
That is something special. A slightly reserved nod at the head from Jean-Paul Giacchino, but it does send Eric Perrault top, 2.3 seconds, and that cadence, exceptional. And he's made it count and goes into the lead after shooting 1. One hand, maybe, on the discipline globe. Johannes Dale Shevdal now shooting 2, this is for him. Has a miss from the first, and now 1 from the second visit to the range.
Well, Johannes Dale Shevdal not showing the same form that we saw from his first 20 out of 20 in the mass start. An unbelievable mental challenge, a mental hurdle that he managed to overcome.
He goes 26, 2 minutes, 6 seconds down. Plenty of work to do. Filip Navrat has the lead coming into shooting 2.
8 kilometers, now 9 of wind. It's climbing, suggesting blustery conditions. Up to 11, so he did well to get 4 out of 5, but he's going to lose that top spot position he had coming into the range.
With Jesper Nylén shooting 3 of 4 for him. Down 34, almost 35 seconds. 1 miss so far, and it will remain 14 out of 15. So into third, Jesper Nylén goes, shooting 3 of 4. He's just passed through, and we have 25 of the 98 through that point. This is shooting 4 for Lucas Fletcher.
Such a compact standing position. You can see the lower abdomen rise and fall with each breath between the shots, but 17 out of 20 isn't good enough for him today. A total time in 19.7 seconds, rapid fire. Most athletes taking somewhere in the region of 25 seconds to get all the targets down in a controlled manner in an individual, but Fracture in third, that's a time that's certainly going to be bumped down and down time and time again throughout this race.
Andreas Seguyev's shooting one for him.
Again, making lots of adjustments continuously until he got down to finally content that he's made the right adjustments.
5.9 seconds he trailed coming in. Does have a bronze medal on the World Cup in this discipline. That was only last year in Ruhpolding. Starts with a perfect 5 out of 5 as well.
Yeah, lovely shooting there from Rasguyevs, and bold adjustments at the start, losing him a couple seconds, which does accumulate over the course of a race. But just look at how strong he is on the skis as Legride comes in top right screen.
Yeah, he loves this course, Rasguyevs. Feeling the love from the Kontiolahti snow, and indeed range so far is Sturlaholm Legride. 10 out of 10 and has the lead as well. So Philip Horn will be bumped down, so will Lucas Hoffer.
Well, if somebody had told him after his bronze in the individual that'd be his worst result of the Olympic Games, you would have been blown out of the water. 4 podiums thereafter. Insanely impressive.
The roar is for Telo Seppala, who breaks the position after a perfect visit of 5 out of 5. Into the lead goes Sturlaholm Legride. How long will that stand for? We keep our eyes on Telo Seppala of Finland. One of his successes, you mentioned Scott a little bit earlier, has all come in the single mixed relay event where him and Suvi Minkkinen have become quite a formidable pair on the circuit.
Well, Legride is skiing very quickly. He was 3 seconds back on lap 1, 6.5 down on lap 2 behind Jacques Ellard, who was just ahead of him on the first lap. The two having a bit of a tango, both here and at the Olympic Games, only 0.2 seconds to tango. And that is what a medal costs you in a sprint.
For one last time in the range. And this individual, Ollie Heiden-Salo, pulls up.
You can see how he sinks his left elbow down onto his hip, finding purchase and traction to create a stable platform down through the skeletal structure. Rapid fire, but one miss. And the second, third, and fourth visit is just too many.
Here's Lucas Hoffer, comes into shooting 3 with a lead of 55.7 seconds. Can take his time here.
Lovely, relaxed shooting. 4.3 seconds is a long time, but it's deliberate. He's in control. Wow.
That is just so good from Lucas Hoffer. Considered deliberate shooting.
Wow.
15 out of 15 and a lead, a monster of a lead. 51.2 seconds.
He is just looking so sharp today. Everything about his body language is on point. And Quentin Fillon-Maillet, if he wants to contend with the Italian, is going to need every single target to fall. There is no doubt about that. And there's a miss, top left again. The fourth to go right down the center of the target, and another miss to the left. He's perplexed. He'll be frustrated, but he'll also be dropping 2 minutes in this space of just 4 seconds.
And 3 minutes overall added to his time. It's just so hard to come back from. Vetle Sjostad Christiansen, he's perfect so far, keeps up his good work. 10 out of 10 now, despite the almost 10-second disadvantage coming into this point.
Well, he's lost 18 seconds in terms of ski speed on the first 2 laps, which is quite uncharacteristic of Vetle Sjostad Christiansen. Second place behind Legride after shoot 2. Well, Christensen is always in control, or so it seems.
So with a perfect record so far, Marcin Zawol of Poland. And no, 54.8 seconds down. Zawol.
Botten, 30 seconds coming in to shoot number 2. 1 minute and 24 seconds off the pace. Of course, one of those minutes accounted by the missed target.
Two misses now for Zawol. It has been an unpredictable range at times today. Can Eric Perrault ride the wave here in Kontiolahti? 6.1 seconds he has as a lead coming in.
Just as Botton's missed one, Perrault hits all 5. That's 10 for 10.
Excellent from Eric Perrault. Can he keep it going? That disciplined globe. The first of what he will hope is a very long and lustrous career is beginning to fall into his palms. The lead is with Eric Perrault as we go to the finish line, and Maxime Germain will be the first across it with a time of 49 minutes, 13 seconds, 0.5, not too far behind him, Nicola Romanin. Bib number 1, finishing second at this point. And moves Howland quickly over to congratulate Maxime Germain. Some excellent camaraderie between the Italians and the Americans over the course of the last couple of seasons. Romanin 40 seconds down on the time of Maxime Germain. Here is Filip Nauselat into shooting 3. Just one miss he has so far, but has managed to cut the gap back down to just a disadvantage of 21.9 seconds. So he'll see the time of the leaders flash past as he drops down into the prone position and begins his third shoot.
He's skiing faster than Dali Shevdal by 17 seconds. 13 seconds faster than Fabian Claude on that last lap. Navrat has found some incredible form.
And the form is back there in that third visit, making up for the miss on the second. And he will drop into second. Filip Nauselat, 21.8 seconds behind the time of Lucas Hoffer. He has been our long-time leader at shooting 3 now. Just a lap further down the road, Jesper Nælin. One miss next to his name. Can he keep it to 19 out of 20 today? 21.7 seconds his advantage over Dmitry Shemaev of Romania. Clean shooting on the day for Shemaev. We haven't seen much of that across the board.
Oh, the last shot. It's so painful watching these biathletes fall just at the final hurdle. And Jesper Nælin, with 18 out of 20, did exactly that.
It's 17 out of 20 for Lucas Hracha across the line in second, 32.6 seconds down, and of course that it's a time that won't stand for the podium places. Fabian Mulau at bib number 5 over the line, not too far behind him in terms of time on the track, but with those 2 additional penalties, he finds himself 2 minutes 41 seconds Mulau behind the time of Maxime Germain. Some split rivalries there, split allegiances with the Finnish flag and the French flag, as well as the Czech flag on show. Got plenty who are supporting a number of nations, as we're so used to seeing here on the Biathlon World Cup.
Biathlon really draws fans for specific individual characters, as well as for the nations.
Martin Ponsaloma, 2 misses, 1 in each of his last 2 visits to the range. This is shooting 3 for him, finds himself 1 minute and 35 seconds down.
It's lovely control, absolutely formulaic rhythmical. It's a shame he never started out with that, but he's looking up at the screen to get a sense of where he is. And 10th is a good indicator of potential for the top 6.
Here's David Zorbel, second miss of the day for him. Gets away with it, 18 out of 20. Sturla Holmlegreid, our leader, coming into shooting 3. 39.7 seconds his advantage over Lucas Hoffer. Perfect so far. In an excellent vein of form and looking for his first win on the World Cup this season. And it is beginning to fall into his reach. Sturla Holmlegreid, 15 out of 15.
Wow.
A 41-second advantage over Lucas Hoffer.
Well, that individual at the Olympic Games changed this man, and his form has just not stopped climbing. Fabien Claude there getting the last remaining targets, copying what Amelia and Claude did in Nove Mesto with the 2-0-0-0 pattern, but he skis so unbelievably fast that Fabien Claude could have a great one today.
40.5-second lead for Claude as he leaves the range.
Look at the speed that Claude dancing along the straight there. You'll see him on the right of your screen shortly, just as Heaton Salo sprint finish now. All the support from the crowd.
As he comes into the finish line, Telo Sepolo was leaving the range. All the noise for the Finnish athletes as Heaton Salo goes across the line in 4th. Would have maybe hoped for more today. He knows what he can do. Will be bumped down to 5th. Victor Brandt coming across the line, not too far behind him, our new leader at the finish line. Here's Sebastian Samuelsson, Brandt's compatriot.
Losing 20 seconds a lap on the skis alone. He needs to hit, but he doesn't. Those 2 mistakes, too costly now, especially with how much time he's dropping just on the skis.
Lucas Hoffer looking for a perfect 20 out of 20. Not as quick as Sturla Holmlegreid on the skis, but can he find himself on the podium once again today? It's an excellent start.
Come on, Hoffer.
So close. He's almost there, and he does it. 20 out of 20 for Lucas Hoffer. What
Yes.
a day this is for the Italian. 4 perfect shooting stages, and he's blasting out of the range.
Well, look at that. A lead of over a minute. 1:16 seconds over Fabien Claude. And looking sharp, he will give everything on this last lap. I would not be surprised if he has a top 3 fastest shoots. And even in slow motion, that rifle just falls onto his back.
His bronze medal in Nove Mesto before the Olympic Games was his first in individual competition. This would be his first podium in a full-length individual in what has been such a long and illustrious career for Lucas Hoffer. Here's Vetle Sjostar Christiansen looking to disrupt things at the top. He trails on the skis coming in.
Edge shot, low right. Well, it went down nevertheless. That's fantastic from Vetle Sjostar Christiansen. Clean 30 seconds.
And he finds himself just 11.9 seconds off the pace of Sturla Holmlegreid. You can see he's pushed Lucas Hoffer at shooting 3 down into 3rd. And what have we said about the Norwegians just turning the screw, twisting up the gears as the race goes on in recent weeks? They haven't been a nation to show their cards. All apart from Sturla Holmlegreid today, who has been flying from start to finish. Here's Martin Uldal, has 1 miss to his name. As in comes Emilien Jacquelin, that's his 3rd miss of the day, not to be for the Frenchman.
Fascinating watching Uldal shoot this slow. 19 out of 20. Really is exceptional though. 29 seconds to do it.
Well, all the hype around Martin Uldal in the last year has been that sharp, quick shooting. Certainly more considered today. Dmytro Pedruchny, 19 out of 20 for him today, as we see Eric Perrault, the split yellow and red bib, come into the range. Pedruchny going second, 9.3 seconds behind Shemaev, who had perfect shooting, and it's perfect shooting so far for Eric Perrault.
And he does it just as Botten exits the range after shoot number 3 with another miss, so he's on 2 in total.
And a new leader at shooting 3, Eric Perrault. The discipline globe is edging closer and closer. Just one more shooting stage between him and his first crystal globe of his senior career. And now the emotion, you can start to see it. So reserved through the first hour of this race, the French coaches not giving anything away. And
it's also important for the coaches to retain that image of calm and collective, because the athletes need to think about the process, and when they see the coach respond with positive emotions, negative emotions, it can change their mindset to be thinking, okay, I need to get these targets to please the coach. Johannes Dali Shevdal did just that at the Olympic Games, replicated it with his last 10 just now, but with the first 2 mistakes early on, 2 misses too many to compete for a win.
So across comes Johannes Dali Shevdal in 5th. Finishing straight, Jesper Nailin goes 3rd, 10.3 seconds behind Dmitry Shemaev. Pedruchny holding 2nd, Nailin just ahead of Victor Brandt. What an improvement this would be in terms of his individual discipline performance for Eric Perrault. 5th last year, he took the individual globe, or the solo globe, of course, in the mass start. This would be his first individual globe of his career, and he's lining up for a handful more before we reach Oslo. Here's Adam Runnels. Great shooting so far from him today, dropping his first on the 4th shot of that 3rd visit. 14 out of 15 for Runnels. Out on the tracks, 14.3 kilometers. Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen finds himself 9.9 seconds behind Sturla Holmlegreid.
Every single lap, Christiansen is getting incrementally faster. He was the 9th fastest on the 1st, the 7th on the 2nd, the 5th on the 3rd. The trajectory is up.
So here are the intermediate results. Dmitry Shemaev with perfect shooting on the day, 20 out of 20. His time of 48 minutes and 31 seconds stands as the time to beat. It's a personal best, Shemaev, of 18th, and that was set in the short individual in Nove Mesto just before the Winter Olympic Games. This is best discipline and showing it once again today. Here's Rastagujevs of Latvia, perfect so far, 10 out of 10, this shooting 3 now.
It's looking unbelievably good for Andrei Rastagujevs. Till the final shot. Oh, that's painful to watch.
Fabien Claude across the line, our new leader at the finish line. 1 minute and 12 seconds faster than Dmitry Shemaev. And that is with 2 missed targets. Teros Seppala now being urged towards the line as we watch Sturla Holmlegreid. And just a brief look at Legreid. A perfect day, though, in the office for Lagride. Here we go, and we will see the Norwegian. 20 out of 20 for Sturla Holm-Lagride. What a fine vein of form he's in, and charging towards his first victory on the World Cup this season. Well, you cannot fault him today. Impressive on the skis from start to finish, not holding back and still knocking down all 20 in the range. Looking for a 5th victory in this discipline as Lucas Hoffer goes through 19.4 kilometres in the lead. Just how long will he be able to hang on for?
Well, he's been looking very sparky from the beginning. Everything about his body language suggested good form. He managed to get the rounds down with absolute precision and delicacy behind the rifle. So to see him now charging and doing everything he possibly can, 6th place in the overall Crystal Globe battle. But against Eric Perrault, that is going to be one fight too hard, I think, unless we see a disaster from Eric Perrault in the range.
Well, what a career Lucas Hoffer has had. And carrying all the positive energy from an Olympic Games on home soil. He would have wanted more in terms of his individual performances, longing for that medal. But it will very likely come on the World Cup today.
Brilliant.
It's going to be so close. He may
What
find
a
himself
brilliant result.
just off the podium. We'll have to look back to see where Eric Perrault is further down the line, of course, pushing him down to 4th. Maybe today could be the day it will be close, and it will be dependent on Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen as well. But he's done all he can. Lucas Hoffer, the new leader at the finish line, 20 out of 20. Will it be out of his hands?
Such control in the range, 27.7 seconds and 27 seconds for both stand shoots, 33.6 and 32 for both prone. It was just deliberate and clinical, very precise, no intention of rushing it. And that is what the highest level of biathlon is all about. Conducting the process you know to be effective, and that's exactly what Lucas Hoffer did today.
Well, here is Eric Perrault. Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen has come into shooting 4, so we will see him shortly in the range. This is Eric Perrault flying up the wall at 15.4 kilometres. The leader out on the tracks, Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen, trying to disrupt the medal picture here. He's quick to start, flying through the shots and knocking them all down perfectly. Textbook from Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen, and will that be Lucas Hoffer off the podium?
20.9 seconds, look at that grin. He knows exactly what he just did, and he knows he's going to be knocking a lot of heavy hitters down the order.
Into second he goes. Martin Årdal comes across the line. He's second at the finish line, and he won't find himself in the top 3. Here's Emilien Jacquelin, far from the day that he would have wanted in the range. 3 misses and only 1 clean visit. He's in 4th, 2 minutes 15 seconds behind the time of Lucas Hoffer, who may still find himself off the podium. Shake of the head from Emilien Jacquelin. He said this week that well, after 9 seasons on the international circuit, he is giving his future deep consideration, and if he does continue, it won't be half-heartedly. Here is the leader, Sturla Holm-Lagride, off the back of an excellent Olympic Games, where he rose to every challenge.
And if Eric Perrault now has a disaster, an unlikely scenario, it could very well fall to Sturla Holm-Lagride for the overall globe.
But he's perfect so far.
Wow.
Exceptional. Eric Perrault, you can take a bow. Perfect in the range, superb on the skis, and it won't be Sturla Holm-Lagride's day. He'll find himself on the podium for the first time this season, Sturla Holmlegard on the World Cup. But it'll be Eric Perrault who will take the gold medal. And he will, in turn, take the discipline title in the individual for the first time.
No maths required. It is as simple as that. Eric Perrault with such a beautiful shoot there at the end. And so many rising to the top level despite the wind conditions as Johannes Dali-Shevdal comes across the line in 4th place right now.
And he will be immediately bumped down to 5th because Philip Navrat is across the line in 2nd. That won't stand as a podium finish, and neither will the time, disappointingly, of Lucas Hofer, who will be just off the podium despite his perfect shooting today.
Well, you can hear the discomfort there. These athletes push to levels that most human beings will never experience physically. And Navrat there just loosening up the quads, cramp, discomfort. Eric Perrault knows how to handle every single one of those challenging elements and still be able to hit a golf ball sized target from 50 meters away while his lungs are absolutely screaming, the heart is beating out his chest.
So there are the intermediate results after the shooting for Eric Perrault. Gets the job done, and he had to do it in style because Sturla Holmlegard, Vetle Sorstar Christiansen and indeed Lucas Hofer were pushing him all the way. Adding to his individual, well, adding a first individual globe to his collection after finishing 2nd in the mass start battle last season. His first individual solo crystal globe goes his way as we look at Arttu Heikkinen of Finland.
5 managing so far to get the perfect 20 out of 20, despite the fact that the wind conditions are challenging. And now as Heikkinen gets the first round in 16.4 seconds. 2.1, 2.1. It's smooth, it's controlled all the way to the last shot, evenly matched. 28 seconds to do all 5. And Arttu Heikkinen coming now off the back of some great races at the European Championships. Now giving it absolutely everything he's got. He's just climbed up the wall. He's on the home attack. Too early to say home straight. That gentle rise, deceptively painful as they have to continue to push. Exhausted from the hill, exhausted from the previous 19.5 kilometers and the psychological pain of focusing to get the shots as he rounds the final corner into the home straight.
Sturla Holmlegard, perfect today. 20 out of 20, exceptional shooting. Really riding away from the Olympic Games and back onto the World Cup, where he hasn't had that fizz that we're so used to seeing. But now he has the podium. He had to be perfect today. Still, Eric Perrault matched him stride for stride. Still waiting on the arrival of Eric Perrault. And here is the young Frenchman. His first discipline globe waiting for him. And a lead of 15.2 seconds over Sturla Holmlegard.
Yeah, he's opened it up since the shooting. It was at 10.9. It's climbed 5 seconds.
Tuomas Harjula, just one miss today for the Finn. Looking to find himself in the top 10, still has a little bit of stretch to go. As Scott said, it's quite deceptive. They have to round a couple of corners before they make it into the home straight, and he will now hear the roar and the noise and see the finish flags. Where will this see Tuomas Harjula form? will be inside the top 10. It will be 7th. Pushing down Amelia and Jacqueline, an excellent day in the office for the Finn. And that can happen, of course, Scott, that extra level of inspiration that if you harness it well, you can really take on a home course.
And he's coming off the back of a really wonderful performance in the individual. That 15th place, as he said, is not an easy thing to attain. So now, finding his form at the right time in front of his home crowd.
And his time will pass for Sebastian Samuelsson, who is pushing to stay in the top 10, and I think today may fall outside it. Sebastian Samuelsson just ahead of Amelia and Jacqueline, of course, still waiting on the arrival of Christiansen and indeed Eric Perrault.
Jakob Fack has not yet missed a target today. He's just coming in to shoot number 4 with a perfect 15 out of 15.
Here is Christiansen through 19.4, sandwiching himself between Sturla Holmlegreid and Lucas Hoffer. Well, we really have seen some exceptional displays of shooting today, and more coming from Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen.
And Fack, another one to add to the perfect shooting, goes into 5th place. He's just hit all 5 targets at the very end. He's gone 20 for 20. Jakob Fack on race 441 has just shot clean, and another top 10, maybe a flower ceremony for the Slovenian.
Well, what an incredible story and what an incredible career Jakob Fack has had. Individual world champion actually here in Kontiolahti in 2015. He also took world championship golds in Ruhpolding in 2012 as well, and an Olympic silver medal in 2018 in this discipline. Vetle Sjåstad Christian, though, across the line in 2nd. Still waiting for Eric Perrault to find his way into the finishing straight, but he did have an advantage and a healthy one last time we saw him. And here he is, Eric Perrault, bringing it home for France, wearing the split yellow and red jersey. Red indicating himself as the discipline leader, and for the first time in his very young but already incredibly successful career, Eric Perrault will have his hands on an individual crystal globe. The discipline globe will go his way at the end of the season, presented with it in Oslo, but how many will he have within his grasp when we end the season in a fortnight's time? He has been superb. The young star who has been touted for so many years and has now risen right to the very top. Just how many more victory laps will we see for Eric Perrault? He is the man to watch, and on the World Cup this season, he's the man to beat. He will glide across the line, arms spread, victorious. Gold medalist here in Kontiolahti in the individual. And that sparkly, small discipline globe is his. Will he add the big one? We will have to wait and see, but his advantage is there. And he continues to show exactly what he does best. Well, Scott, last year so much was spoken about this young man and his ability to go all the way, with the retirement of Johannes Tingesbo and maybe, of course, with Sturla Holmlegreid taking the total score last year. Did you expect that we'd see his rise to the top happen just as quickly as it has done this time round?
Absolutely. Yes. It was foreseeable, it was projected, it was predicted. The only thing that wasn't is at the start of the season, he kind of gave off the vibe that he might not get there. And perhaps his Olympic Games wasn't as impressive as some had thought he could achieve there. Nevertheless, of course, phenomenal. But Eric Perrault, I think, is exactly where people expected him to be, with the level that we're going to just see get even better with years to come.
Well, Simon Folkard said this week he simply has to stay focused and race like he did at the start of the season. Take the weight off, forget about the races, forget about just how great the prize could be at the end of the season. And he's done the job today and done it ever so well. Perfect shooting in a field where the shooting was so standout today, with the top 4 all finishing with a perfect 20.
And that could become top 5, depending on Jakov Fak's last lap. Of course, he's 1:52 seconds back after the 4th shoot, in ahead of Uldal by 20 seconds, 19 seconds.
And so Eric Perrault in the discipline battle finishes on 211 points. Well clear of Johan Olav Botten, of course, today, his closest contender, who currently stands down in 16th. And of course, with this exceptional run we're seeing from Jakov Fak, who's in 5th at the 18.3 kilometre mark of this 20 kilometre individual, will be bumped down, Johan Olav Botten, once again.
So lovely to see that 20 out of 20 again for Jakov Fak. 9 victories to his name, one of the OGs, and still managing to pip the likes of Uldal of Norway. How cool is that? At the age of 38.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier, of course, 38, but that 440th World Cup starts, a career that has spanned the decades. He made his debut back in 2006 on the World Cup, and continues, as we saw last year when he threw down that exceptional performance on home soil in Pokluka to take the short individual. Once again, he can do it and really produce these exceptional performances. That's 2 minutes, 2 misses on the last, and 2 minutes added for Konstantin Vasiliev of Bulgaria.
Unusually curved rifle stock, a unique design.
To Vikkanen of Finland. Trying to limit it to 17 out of 20, and he can't. 16 out of 20 today. Well, one of the likelihoods that will now happen, of course, with Jakov Fak flying around the final lap, is that it won't be the first World Cup points of his career for Jack Jeffries, who sits in 40th at the moment. Just 2 misses, an excellent day in the office, but ever so close to securing his first World Cup points, and he will be pushed down by Rastaguyevs, who's across the line in 8th, just outside of the flower ceremony. He's 3 minutes off the pace of Eric Perrault.
It always blows my mind that the athletes are able to do anything other than collapse to the floor at the end of a finish. The way that they smile, something I was certainly never able to achieve, but then again, I never had a World Cup top 10, so perhaps that gives you an extra incentive to smile and cheer.
I think the cameras certainly add something, as Patrick Jakob across the line. 18 out of 20 for him today, into 30th. And he's taken from the Scott Dixon approach to finishing races.
Oh yes, the more drama, the better.
Well, up the wall for the final time comes Jakov Fak, just falling down to 6th. And it's so close with Filip Navrat, just 0.2 of a second in it between Jakov Fak and a flower ceremony. He's in the latter stages of his career, and moments to stand amongst the podium places, amongst the flower ceremony. Well, they don't come around too often, and he's going to have to battle for the privilege once again today. Sebastian Stolder, 19 out of 20 for the Swissman today. Not bad in the range, and just struggling to match the pace on the skis. He's across the line in 19th.
Well, Fak losing approximately 32 seconds on average per lap, and whereas you can see Uldal only 1 minute 3 seconds back, so that divided by 5, obviously much less than the time Fak's losing. So it seems now impossible for Fak over the last couple 100 meters to gain that time back lost to Uldal, who at the last checkpoint, 19.4, was 3 seconds ahead of him. So Oldal perhaps now safe in 5th, but Navrat's time, it's going to be on the edge.
And it will be Jakov Fak who falls outside of the flower ceremony. A shake of the head, really not much in it at all as he lost that time around the final lap. Martin Oldal currently occupying the final spot in the flower ceremony, and it's more than fair to say that Jakov Fak was the last challenger, and was the last challenger because he hit 20 out of 20 today. You can understand why Bib 69 is feeling incredibly hard done by there, just lacking the pace that he used to have in his legs. Karol Dombrovski of Lithuania, 18 out of 20 for him today, and it will be a top 40 finish and World Cup points for him. If you are joining us for the first time off the back of a record-breaking Olympic Games, athletes who finish in the top 40 do secure World Cup points, and they're incredibly important now we come to this point of the season, not just for the discipline globes, which we have been speaking quite a lot about today, as Eric Perrault has claimed his first small crystal globe of what he and I think everyone watching around the world hopes will be a very long and successful career. Still some of our later bibs coming through the range at shooting 4. 98 on the start list today, and we have 70 across the line. Always great to see a little bit of late drama, and of course, Scott, we had plenty of late drama in terms of watching out for the individual globe and where that might have gone yesterday. Just 2 points in it. This settled today with Eric Perrault's win. We didn't have the drama that maybe we would have expected.
I have got spreadsheets, calculations, tables here to do promptu maths if I needed to, and it was completely unnecessary, but perhaps I might have done better to just expect Eric Perrault to be as brilliant as he was.
18 out of 20 for George Buta of Romania today, and it was, as we said plenty of times, an exceptional performance from Eric Perrault, starting bib number 60 and, well, keeping himself so composed. And it's, of course, what you would have expected, as you say, second in the Olympic Games in this discipline, but he is the reigning world champion. And now has his first career crystal globe. He's hoping he can add the big one next to it. And he is very well positioned. Scott, when you look across the board, obviously has now secured first in the individual title. His best last season was second in the mass start. He's currently holding first in the red bib, also in the mass start this year and in the pursuit, third in the sprint. A clean sweep, you have to say, with the races we've got left is more than possible.
Yeah, it is, and I think he shows this level of composure on the range, very similar to Lou Jean Monod, and although Lou Jean Monod did finish in 35th yesterday, it is so irregular. I think we can expect to see that Eric Perrault continuing that unbelievable shooting discipline for the rest of the season. Sjökvist with great shooting there, 19 out of 20.
Just squeezing inside the top 30. The American flag being flown, a flag that we certainly see a lot more of, not always by Americans that we see on the course, but of course Campbell Wright commanding quite a large fan base these days. Here's Lukas Haslinger of Austria. There definitely is a different vibe around these evening races and night races. Scott, when you're an athlete, what was your preference? Early lunchtime kickoff or waiting till later on in the day?
It's challenging when it gets dark towards the end of the day and some people start to wind down towards the end of the day, whereas there's others who just want to get the race over and done with. You don't have to try and find something productive to do with your time. You simply get up, you prepare for your race, you're done, and you have some of the day ahead of you to go for a jog, gather your thoughts, have a nice meal and sleep. Whereas these athletes now have spent a morning nervous, trying to prepare, trying to occupy their time productively. And that can be stressful. But in terms of the actual atmosphere, there's something about the energy of the dark night sky that makes you feel quicker. And anything that made me feel quicker made me feel good.
Well, speaking of quick today, Jack Jeffries of Great Britain now down to 48, but his previous best on the World Cup was a 53rd in Onsiela-Grumbornard. And just putting my mind back to that day, I believe he started bib number 1. Any preference? He started early bibs again today, bib number 6, Jeffries, and it seems like going out early seems to be somewhere where he's getting his best results.
Well, if the Olympic coverage and his own documentation of his progress there is anything to go by, he likes the cameras, and when he starts early, he gets on camera, and that's the best time to perform when the world is watching, and that's exactly what he did today. As soon as the cameras weren't on him, we had misses.
I'm sure he'll be picking you up on that later on. Here is Arttu Heikkinen, making his way around the final bend and into the grandstand in the stadium. 4 misses today, but he's welcomed home like a champion. Each of the Finnish athletes over the course of the last 2 days given special treatment. And that will no doubt continue because they'll have their hopes fairly high. You imagine, Scott, in some surprises, particularly in the women's 4x6K with the results that they've had this season. That comes on Sunday, along with the men's 15-kilometre mass start, and then we have the reverse of that tomorrow on Saturday with the women's 12.5-kilometre and the men's relay.
Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting weekend of racing. You can also, of course, for those ardent biathlon fans, you can join on the Junior World Championship races, the Youth Junior, I should say, and in between every single one of those races, I will be commentating on the Junior Youth World Championships as well. So a full weekend of biathlon to enjoy.
And I think you'll have to split screen it, to say the least, because the para biathlon kicks off tomorrow as well. 2 weekends of para biathlon, which I know in certain territories will be broadcast on Eurovision Sport as well. So stay across it all. Plenty of excitement to come. Medals to be decided at world level, World Cup level, and of course Paralympic level as well over the course of the weekend. Here's Rene Zachner of Estonia, looking for a good finish today. 18 out of 20, and of course it is Estonia where we travel to next on the World Cup. Otepää as their World Cup, acting as well as a trial run for the World Championships next year.
237 races under the belt for Rene Zachner. He's experienced, he's a fantastic athlete. You have to rewind the clock a long time to his gold medals at the junior categories. But this man is a machine and a fighter, now in 28th. What
Big
a character.
thumbs up. Big thumbs up in the love heart there as well. In the same way that, of course, we saw the inspiration for Dorothea Vera, and we know her time on the World Cup now ended, but just let Rene Zachner have his moment with the cameras. How much of a motivation will it be for Rene Zachner and the Estonian team, who we've spoken about youngsters? They have a really promising young team, particularly on the relay, a record-equaling 4th place finish in Ruhpolding not so long ago on the men's side. How much of a big inspiration will the World Championships in Otepää next season be?
Well, I think the development and the investment in the younger age categories and the development categories, where there is money, there is naturally some form of motivation. And I think that is the way that a lot of nations see growth, is the investment from finances, and then there's a sense of hope, because athletes can sometimes see the future and the lack of investment as an indication that, well, hey, if I'm not going to get the money, then how can I perform to a top level? Whereas the door becomes slightly ajar when the funding comes in, even incrementally, and I think that Estonians have a bright future ahead of them, a silver and a bronze already at the Youth Junior World Championships, and there could be more to come.
Of course, it was Switzerland who held our last World Championships for the first time as a combined men's and women's event. They did so previously back as an individual gender event way back when. And Dajan Danusa of Switzerland across the line always has a big smile on his face. I think if there was an award for most engaging character across the World Cup, he would be well up there.
Yeah, I often thought about alternative awards when I was finding myself in the back 80s and 90s. Could there be an award for he who suffered the most? Because I'm sure I would have got that one every time.
He who comes from a nation with the least snow probably wouldn't be too far away on.
He who should be pitied. But now Simbal, absolutely fantastic. 1-1-1-1 consistency, but 9 minutes and 13.7 back. You will undoubtedly be ever so slightly disappointed with that.
And just behind his compatriot Schenko with one missed viewer. Pedruchny, the highest finisher of the Ukrainians today, with just one miss. 16th he finished after starting bib 19.
Well, I had my hopes today on the Germans to do well and not to out myself, but the best result 5th, and then you have to go down quite a way to Fracture in 26th and Fund in 29th. So not a great day for Germany.
Well, of course, this is the discipline where those mistakes prove so costly. 1 minute added on for every miss, so that was 3 minutes to the race time of Vasyl Zashev. Does fall inside the top 50 though. Easy, easy, he says. The camera's on him, and it is such a physically demanding course, isn't it, Scott? The wall, having to go up it 5 times around this 20-kilometre individual. This you'd find it hard to find a course that has this level of physical demand for an individual race.
You know, I would have agreed with you if it wasn't for the fact that we have first-hand testimony there from Zashev saying it's easy. So objectively wrong. Simple as beans. And I don't know anyone who decided to retire on the wall here.
You've taken that personally, and I'm sure Zashev directed that at you, considering the fact you retired after the World Cup here. Decided you couldn't take it anymore, didn't have that Finnish strength inside you.
Yeah. Well, finish strength, I think. That's what I see it as. I finished with strength. It was the final big hill. It was a brutal climb. And I was at the base of it when the coach said, just 10 seconds to 93rd. And I thought, wow, really? 93rd? I'm going to fight agonizingly over this next 500 meters for 93rd? Yeah, and that's the day that I decided it was no longer worth it. But now, 74th, and absolutely well worth fighting for position from Yatamoto of Japan. A great performance, 5 on the day, and skiing well.
Fittingly bib number 93rd. Yamamoto across the line with a big smile on his face as we see these latter bibs come through. It's just the 2nd World Cup start of the season, an 8th World Cup start overall from Yamamoto. Ujima, his compatriot, also out on the course today as well. It won't be long until we see him across the finish line. Would have hoped for better in the range. I think the 2 Japanese athletes, 8 missed for Ojima. We have Petitjaks as well of Belgium, who made his World Cup debut in 2024, but this just his first World Cup start today since Östersund.
I have some acknowledgements of the results that surprised me the most today. Campbell Wright down in 66th with 6 misses. Emilian Claude down in 72nd, another one I dubbed with a possibility of a top 10.
Ujima across the line in 90th, owing to those 8 misses.
Kontiolahti in 42nd with his 5 penalties. He'd have been 48 seconds back had he hit the targets, but of course, always easy to say that had he hit the targets, and of course you could just remove everybody's shooting times and range times and you'd have the results based entirely on the skiing, but then you would have cross country. So the value of subtracting the hits and misses is almost just a negative practice for these athletes that hopefully they avoid doing.
Watching Mikhail Usov come towards the line, 19 out of 20, and look at just how well he recovered from that early miss. A perfect 15 after stumbling in his first visit to the range, and he is across the line in 84th, bib number 88.
Excellent shooting. And tricky wind conditions today. I'm really surprised that we saw so many get the perfect 20 out of 20, so many being 6. 11 kilometers, we saw 13 kilometers at one point on the graphic. That is blustery. And we did see a lot of very intelligent clicking. Athletes who were able to make adjustments and then undo those adjustments in the very same shoot. Not easy to do that.
Yeah, and something we don't see ever so often. The adjustment to the sight after a shooting stage, particularly so early on, as Mukin of Kazakhstan across the line, 4 misses on the day for him, 73rd he finishes. 2 misses on the day for Marcus Webb. The other Briton in the race today, he's across the line in 95th. A good day in the range. Just 2 misses from the 4 stages.
12 World Cup starts. Very accurate and showing that with a good 18 out of 20 for Marcus Webb.
And so with 1 DNS being Otto Invinius today, we have our 97 across the line, and there are the unofficial results with the top 4 all finishing with perfect shooting in challenging conditions. A disappointing day in the office despite that for Lucas Hoffer, just finishing off the podium. It will be real mixed feelings as he walks out for the flower ceremony, maybe some questions of what if, but he did all he could do, and it was up to the men ahead of him not to mess up. He really laid down an excellent foundation, and it was beaten by Vetle Sjostad Christiansen, who took bronze. Sturla Holmlegreid, who is on the podium for the first time this World Cup season, finishing 2nd, carrying on his superb work from the Olympic Games. And Eric Perrault claiming his first individual discipline. It's 53rd Jack Jeffries has finished today. That's equaling his best, which was set in Annecy-le-Grand-Bornand just a couple of months ago now. So a look at the other results further down the order as they flash across your screen. The flower ceremony also occupied by Philip Navrat and Martin Aldal as well. Jakob Fack just outside the time he needed on the skis with perfect shooting today.
And although it's a bad habit to take the minutes off your time, if Jack Jeffries had shot clear, he'd have slotted in 1 second ahead of Quentin Fillon-Maillet. So hopefully he doesn't make that analysis. He'll be kicking himself. Great performance from the Brit.
Here are the standings in the total score. Of course, no Tommaso Giacomel, and all of us here at the IBU and Eurovision Sport send our love and indeed support and best wishes to Tommaso Giacomel as he continues his recovery from minor heart surgery. So the lead, and a strong one, in the hands of Eric Perrault, adding to it today with another gold medal on the World Cup this season. So a 3rd win in this discipline and his first discipline globe. Eric Perrault victorious here in Kontiolahti, the final 20-kilometre race of the season.
Do we have first for France? Yes, we do. You can see the.
Eric, congratulations, simply unbeatable today. You won the competition, you secured your first ever small globe. Doing it in this beautiful yellow and red bib, how special it is and what do you feel right now?
It was so good to take the bib on before the race. That was the first time I could take with both colors, so I was really proud and I was also really focused, of course, on the race. I knew that I had to shoot 20 out of 20 if I wanted to have a chance to fight for the globe, for the individual. So yeah, that was the main goal of the day, focusing on the shooting, and I'm really happy that I did a good one. So on the track also the shape was good, so I really enjoyed my race. I gave it all and it was a really good result at the end.
But at the finish we saw that you were celebrating and seemed like it meant really quite a lot to you. What was the toughest today, both mentally and physically?
And that's a good question. Of course, when you are wearing this beautiful jersey, you want to make it great, especially with the red one with the individual globe. I knew it gonna be tough with Johan Olav. He's a really great opponent, so mentally I knew that I had to clean and to do a good race, so that was challenging. But after, I don't know, on the track you have to challenge yourself every second, so it was tough, but I'm really happy that it went the right way.
It was also the perfect way, so congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
A first discipline globe, a first individual globe for Eric Perrault. And you can see just how much it meant to him in that interview there. Scott, any lines that you picked up on in particular?
It's the way he speaks about his performances that I love. It's his mentality. He talks about knowing that he needed to hit 20 out of 20, and that knowledge can be crippling for so many. And what he manages and does so well is to retain the process that works time and time again, despite having those thoughts coming in his mind at probably the most distracting time. So it's the way that he thinks and how he speaks that fascinates me.
And there are the standings, confirmation of them in the individual score. Won for the first time by Eric Perrault. And the odds would be pretty good for him to extend that trophy cabinet. Leading the way in all the other disciplines as well, apart from the sprint where he currently sits in second, or third I should say. Well, a big smile on the face of Eric Perron. You can understand why. The first time in his career he has lifted the individual discipline globe, although the lifting will have to wait until Oslo. Just how many will he be able to carry when we get to that point? And what, despite being out of the picture, can Sturla Holmgren have to say on the matter? An impressive return to the World Cup. Well, the French support grows and grows, Scott, year on year, and they are some of the loudest wherever we go on the World Cup circuit. How much of a boost in this run-in to Oslo will the support that he would have been able to hear around the course been for Eric Perron today?
Well, even if they are in lower proportion at these events, they make up for it in enthusiasm and sound. So the French, I think, quickly becoming the Germans of 2012 when they were the loudest and the most omnipresent around the track wherever you went.
Norway take bronze and silver medals, and it's Vetle Sjåstad Christiansen. Perfect shooting today, good out on the skis as well, who has the bronze medal hung around his neck. Well, he's had to stay mentally resilient at times, and his strength, both physically and mentally, paying off this season. Sturla Holmgren riding the wave post-Olympic Games, back on the podium. He's had to wait for it. The silver medal hung around his neck. He couldn't make the dream return and secure the gold medal. It was Eric Perron who had one thing on his mind. What a moment for Eric Perron. World champion in the individual. And now adds that discipline globe to his cabinet. A discipline where he shines, of course, taking the silver medal at the Olympic Games and indulging the French crowd, who no doubt will support him all the way through to Oslo. He will hope to be the man, the last man standing in the yellow bib. Well, his name being chanted there, Scott, and you can see just how much it means to him. He's had plenty of these moments over the course of the last year or so, but it still means the most, and a lovely moment between him and Lucas Hoffer there as well.
One of my favourite photos of the Olympics was him standing up over the barrier to his dad, who was grasping his face, and he was in tears, of course. Perron, Eric Perron. What a beautiful sight and moment that was.
Still only 24 years old, Eric Perron, as Martin Oldal shakes his hand. You can see the rest of the flower ceremony there in Philip Navrat. Martin Oldal, and of course so close to adding a first full-length individual to his medal collection, Lucas Hoffer. 20 out of 20. Might have it on the skis. Well, one down. Just how many can he add to the collection? Eric Perron in fine form, leading the way in the total score, the pursuit score, the mass start score. Slightly off the pace in the sprint. Can he make it a clean sweep by the time we get to Oslo? We will be back tomorrow for the mass start for the women. 12.5 kilometres starting at 1:40 Central European time, followed on by the men's relay, and we hope you can join us then here on Eurovision Sport.